Uh, Here we go again. People may not know sometimes you set up everything and then it doesn't work out or it's supposed to work out. So you have to start all over. Yeah, that was the case. Manners respect, people. Manners respect. Manners respect. Manners respect. That's always the order of the day. Right? We supposed to have some understanding of who we are at all times. Yes. No. We're supposed to have some sense of what is it? Humanity. We're supposed to have the sense of humanity at all times. And if we don't have the sense of humanity, that what is it that we have? Huh? If we don't have a sense of humanity, what do we have? That's the question. Anybody can give me the answer? If we don't have the sense of humanity, what we have? And if we don't have the sense of humanity, right? And whatever we have other than humanity, is it better than humanity? Okay. If whatever we have, right, other than humanity, is it better than humanity? And seriously, whatever we have, if a person don't have humanity, whatever them have better than humanity, I don't know, you know. Whatever you have, is it better than humanity? And enough people don't really don't know what humanity is anyways. Honestly, you know, some people don't know what humanity is. Isn't it crazy? So a person can live them life and don't know what humanity is. The complex understanding of humanity. This amazing life that we hate so much. How so? Because if you can't hate a person, you can't hate life. If you can hate a person, you can you hate life. You're actually hating life. You hate existence. Every breath where you take, you hate that too. Because that same breath of flow through the same person where you hate. It's so diabolical. So we can within ourselves we can come up with things where we manifest from the same place within ourselves and just practice it, accept it without even thinking about it. Because the, the things that my people use to say them better than the next person, it's comical. The way we fight for everything, but we don't fight for humanity. And humanity is just the fact say you accept a person, right, as a human, just as a human being, just as a human, then no being to it. Because me tell you, say, the human and the being thing are two different things. The human and the being is two different things. So let's just use the human part. Just accept that person is just different. When we say like-minded people, first of all, you should not argue with that person because obviously he's not like-minded. You can conversate with a person who's like-minded. People, I'm telling you, it's just how we think and understand certain things are the biggest issue what we have in communication. We are communicate in our language where we just accept it for face value and don't look at each word and the meaning of things. Because just like a day by itself has no meaning until you put some like you put like something to it. Christmas, you put Valentine's to it, you put Thanksgiving to it. And then you go, oh yeah, now it means something. Even though every day has a meaning, every day means something. But we just don't highlight every day. People, it's because the 12 colors they prepare me for the journey. It make it so much more. It makes everything so open, open to more understanding, more questions, more answers, right? Because me tell you, say, if you don't ask questions, if you not ask questions, forget the answer them, you're gonna say, I'm confused. You're gonna confuse because you don't ask questions. Because if you don't understand, you're gonna say, okay, then explain it to me. For instance, me have to call this place 3 times to get the proper email address to somebody when me email. Just because I didn't understand, I didn't get it right. Because if me did understand it, would I get it right? When me are right. Ah, 1 second, people. I'm telling you, it's the professor said the best part of your life are between 40 and 70. Some people never live to see 20. So the very facts I may I learn to, I am still learning, I am still asking questions, I'm still curious. I still want to know more because there's so much more. The professor said, up, 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 more. Bless. More. The professor said, him read 3 books. Him a read 3 books. Him read 100 book a year. So that's why I say, for me not reach them level there. Yes, always more to come. Me not reach them level there where me have I read all of them books there, but the very fact that we have the ability to do them things there, are them things that me love. I love the fact that greatness is right in us, around us, above us, under us. It's just the vibes what me are telling us that once we start tuning to the feel the rhythm, feel the ride. What me say? We're not gonna understand it now because the greatest thing about it is that can't be stopped. It cannot. All of the people that want to highlight over the whole month, their energy, their life, their flow, it exists because of them greatness, them broke through barriers, them broke through boundaries, them cross lines. I'm gonna tell you, say all of these things, they're all invisible stuff. All of them things there is invisible stuff where people create to create boundaries between people and the freedom of the mind on how we are supposed to think and feel. That's why I'm saying it's a simulation. It's just a simulation. It's a simulation. No worry, man. My son cut that album there. We're living in a simulation because everything is processed for us already. When everything was free and there was no boundaries, no borders. That was when we were inclusive. You know what inclusive mean? We get together, we keep a party, we dance them together, all of them things there. That was the raw, strong energy of. Me I telling you something that exists before this life, you know. I just said that before and I get ridiculed, but now I can't come on my platform and I can't say it. I existed before this existence. I'm going to exist after this existence. All right. So we did free, we did have this energy about us. No, sir. But so me never use that word. Me never use. But me tell you, say this is how our creativity used to be. We used to get together. The geniuses of us used to be. We feed off of each other. So me go to Jamaica, me have a conversation and I say, you know, say everybody at Jamaica bounce off of each other. Them just bounce off of you and then bounce off of somebody else and then bounce off of somebody else. And I say, you know what them do? Them just a suck energy for bounce off of somebody else. You don't know that? So all of them things I'm telling you, some pay attention to, you know. I pay attention to these details. I always pay attention to the details them. So when we understand how great we were together, so when we see, oh, we're so far apart now, we're so far apart now, and this is how it works from us being together, for us being so separated. Why we separated? Because we stop appreciate each other. We stop give the love. We stop give the encouragement. We stop though. More rumba time. Come tell the good news, cause when I say you see all of the chicken them in your coop, I see you have your chicken them in your coop or the chicken. Which chicken in there so say, oh, that chicken the skinny, that chicken the fat, that chicken, eh? Which one of them chicken they argue all day, all night? More, I tell you say more. There's no lessons. This is what them use to separate us from our more. And always I tell us less. Look upon it. Spell it. Take out the middle of the word. And look upon where it say. Less. Every time you see that, what you're supposed to see. Well, the big one. I'm probably learning from you. No, sir. Because me tell you, say there's no, when we argue, there's only no good come out of argument. And throughout our history, when we were united, it was the best time of our life. The best time of our life. Me say, okay, so I'm telling about Professor Smalls, you know, because I'm telling you, them people are them people are professor. I am not a professor. I just understand certain things, like professors, like Because you see the wisdom where them have, you can have the same wisdom too, you know. You just have to apply the wisdom where you have, right? Everybody have a flashlight. Everybody flashlight different. Everybody flashlight are gonna shine different. You know, can I have competition with flashlight? And that you know have sometimes, you know, competition with flashlight. Oh, for flashlight, right? Who cares? Your flashlight I make you see guy your yard. Your flashlight I make you see what you want to see. I'm telling you, say all of these things is so important for us to understand, so we can communicate with understanding, right? These professors, them study, so when them talk, I listen. What the professor is talking about is one of the things we say why we need to find these heroes from our past and highlight them. These heroes from our past was more educated than us. We have more technology. I keep on saying technology is advancing, but we are not. If we don't understand that, you know, because you see, understanding gives clarity. So when these people talk, me listen. So this is what the professor has to say about knowledge as we proceed to educate each other. Thank you guys for stopping by. And you guys know certain time when I stop by, these are the stuff for my love talk about. I love reason about them stuff here. Because these stuff is so important. When I sit down and talk to kids them, right? These are the stuff when I say, okay, look up this scientist, look up this that. And if them look it up, the pride where them I go, the same way I feel when I listen to the stories of these people. Me feel the same pride because I'm in the same skin. Just like in time when I see on news somebody rob a bank and I wanna we. Me know so I don't feel a way. Because you know everybody eyes is just one a week. Meanwhile, it's not. It's just a person doing one thing. So this is Professor Smalls, and I tell you, say, these people, they're educators. Okay? As we proceed.
I don't think people really get it that we never stopped being African structurally in the Caribbean, nor in Black America. It's only recently they've been really able to break us down. The period when we thought they had broken us down, they didn't break us down. We still had a thing. It's in the last 20, 30 years that they've been able to break us in ways they weren't able to break us during slavery, because they break us here. In slavery, they were breaking our bodies. But in the contemporary time, they're breaking our spirits.
Do you believe illiteracy is being weaponized in America today?
Oh, absolutely. I believe that illiteracy is being weaponized because if you can deny a child access to education, which means you're denying him access to the training and the tooling that would allow him to find employment or to open a business of his own or to be able to join a corporate structure and make a living for their family, then you have created, how do you say, you have created an underclass,
Permanent underclass.
a permanent underclass, which you then can control. And what you've put in place for the underclass is a penal system. And so whether they're in the prison itself or they're out on parole, they're still under your control and manipulation. And you're making money off of them, both in the prison and out of prison. Your population is employed as the judge, as the lawyer, as the policeman, as the
So there's a whole network of dumb people. There's actually a system created for dumb people because they know dumb people is gonna do dumb things all the time. This is why I say educate. That's the one thing I love mom about. Mom educated me. as we proceed.
Officer, as the correction officer, as the nutritionist in the prison, you make the uniform for the guards. You have a whole industry around um, an impoverished population. So it is economically good for you to keep people impoverished, while at the same time you're controlling the competition out to your group.
Right, I was just about to go there in regards to it's not really been analyzing because with the literacy thing, right? One, you're limited to the information you can get.
Right.
It's either your peers or what you get through media,
Right.
right?
And so what does literacy do is help you to control who could compete with you
Facts.
for running the society, for improving the society. And if you go back through the history of North America, just North America, we won't even go to the Caribbean and England where we live, and you will see that 70% of the inventions to 75%, and I'm being modest, that has created the technocracy that we live in comes from African people. An oppressed African population. What if that was the free population? You know what I'm saying? The oppressed population has produced 75% of the inventions that make your technocracy works. Okay, from the touchtone phone to the mobile phone to the laptop computer to the internet, video games, and it goes on to the probe that you sent to Mars, to the mathematics that allows you to first go into space and to do the moon landing. All of that technology comes from African people, an oppressed African population, not free to learn and study and express themselves literately in the world.
Or get funding for it.
Yes.
That's the next thing.
Or get any sort of funding of significance, except where you wanted to use it. Now, what if that population was as free as the white population? We would dominate the world. And so it's to the advantage of the so-called ruling elite Europeans to make sure that the African population, and this isn't just in America, but worldwide, is kept illiterate and educationally immature.
And educationally immature people. And then look upon it, and then we're going to embrace a culture of fully dunce, even though them already at work against we know. And we accept the fact, say, we no want to learn. Huh? May I take a deep breath on that one day? Intellectually immature. SYM. Hello? As we proceed to educate each and everyone who needs education.
And technically deprived, so that you do not become a competition in the marketplace of the world with them.
I feel that constant, and I help people observe that, and they start to internalize that they're incapable of doing it due to the barriers that's there.
No, absolutely. I think you mentioned something that people rise to their expectations. And if you lowering person's expectation constantly, they will only rise as high as the expectation allow them to create possibilities for themselves.
Oh, no, you hear that part there? So they lower the expectation, and then you accept the lowered expectation. How we treat each other, how we talk to each other, how we communicate. So when we say it's so important for us to conversate, communicate, these are the basic thing them to fix the things them. How we talk to each other, how we encourage each other. Speak, Professor. Oh,
You know, and that's planned, that's constructed. There was a meeting in America back in the late 1800s led by former President Rutherford B. Hayes, working for, I think, the Presbyterian Church in upstate New York. Um, and
Working with the who? Working with the who? Working with the who?
what's the name of the place? It was called the not the Mohawk, but the Mohawk. It was an upstate place, New York, where they had this educational conference on how to educate the black population in America now that slavery is over. Mohawk was called the Mohawk Educational Conference. Yeah. And Rutherford B. Hayes, the same guy that betrayed us by moving the troops out of the South, is no longer the president. He's now heading that committee. And so much of what ends up being taught in black schools or being taught to black kids in white schools was decided at the Mohawk Educational Conference headed by Rutherford B. Hayes, who was the guy that pulled the federal troops out of the South and allowed the Ku Klux Klan to take over under the guise, or allow the Confederate Army to take over the South under the guise of the Ku Klux Klan. Because the Ku Klux Klan was the Confederate Army. Okay. They just switched uniforms. You know? And that same Rutherford B. Hayes headed the Mohawk Educational Conference in upstate New York, which was the Mohawk Educational Conference on the education of the Negro.
I know you did a lot of work with brothers over the years, right? Because you've been around for a long time. What advice would you give to older brothers who struggle with reading but have that shame or insecurity about learning to read?
I would say reading is one of the most beautiful crafts you can have.
I love that because I love reading. Oh, the professor said that, you know. Let me rewind it. Woo, people. Speak, professor. Speak.
Shame or insecurity about learning to read?
I would say reading is one of the most beautiful crafts you can have. And you can learn to read at any age. And it just takes practice. Just do it. Don't be ashamed because somebody denied you that access. You didn't just not read. Now free yourself. Reading will help you to dream. Reading will give you visions. Reading will help you to see yourself in greater spaces. You know? And so I would tell brothers, and I know a lot of brothers who don't read, and they are ashamed. They don't even want to tell you they can't read. And I'm saying, just like you would take a 6-year-old kid or a 5-year-old kid, get the same books that we use, and you find you will learn much faster as an adult than you did as a child. You'll be surprised. And you'll be surprised how beautiful you will feel when you can listen to the minds of other men and women, because that's all a book is.
People, you see what you see you see what you see why you see why these people are so important for us to go back in them history and see how rich these people are, because their life story in a book is real life to us. That's why I must feel so good for the whole month going through all of them great people, you know. It's just been so invigorating the whole month, learning about great people. As we proceed, Professor.
Book is the minds of other men and women, and you hear their point of view on something, which help to expand your point of view on the same thing. So reading is one of those.
And what am I doing, people? I am just expanding. I'm just opening up the whole universe and connecting the dot with details of these people amazement. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Because I see me have my subscription them I go up. So now, I encourage me if do what I'm doing. I'm gonna continue do what I'm doing. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Things. Yes, someone may have denied you the opportunity, but you can learn to read at any age. Matter of fact, yesterday on TV, they had a group of women, Elvis, who was just graduating high school. They were all in their 80s and 90s. Okay.
Hold on,
And
hold
they
on,
had on the cap and the
hold
gowns and they
on,
were getting
hold
their
on.
diplomas. It was just, but you can learn to read at any age. Matter of fact, yesterday on TV, they had a group of women, Elvis, who was just graduating high school. They were all in their 80s and 90s. Okay. And they had on the cap and the gowns and they were getting their diplomas. It was just on Channel 12 yesterday. So people are doing it. And so you can do it. Any brother, any sister, take your time, read anything, read everything, read what's on the coffee can, read what's on the milk cup, read just anything that gets.
People, okay, so I said everything that I'm putting together is just saying we can connect in so many ways other than just one way, a negative way, because we are positive. We're positive that was injected with negative, and it's an injection that we need to get rid of. So the solution is what? We creating what we want. That's why I'm saying I love my channel just the way it is. Everybody will come, this is how I want them to be. Educated people will want to educate other people. Everybody has their own different way of doing it. But positive is still positive in any form. So if you are doing it in a positive way, yes, I encourage you. Each one teach one how to be better. Each one teach one how to be unlimited. Okay, so today, I tell you, so that was just the introduction of Professor Small, just talking about how important it is for us to understand what it is for us to learn, and it's not like a point we reach where we can't stop. Like, okay, I have enough learning. You can never learn enough, and this is why I am so excited about this journey we're made upon, because this blue year, I remember blue, the history of how rich and deep it is. So if we not dive down into the richness and the deepness of us, the shallow part up at top, you know what they do? The shallow, skim off all of the fat off of your curry goat, all of that the fat there off of the oxtail, skim. As a chef, them things they are bad fat. Them things that you're not supposed to eat. And I go on a cooking lesson too. Those are bad fat. I that them one of them say what them say? Something always bubble to the top or something, but me tell them as a chef, them when you cook on food and you put in on make it cool down, on see a big skim of fat upon it. That enough to scrape off. That for the dog food, right? That enough we eat. So once we dive down in it, overnight food when the season up properly and you warm that up, it better than the first day. And by the way, I saw my sauce them work. Them delicious like that. Okay, people. All right. So Professor Griff now, this is he was talking about culture. What is culture? I'm gonna say this is one of the things we talk about too. What is culture? How we look on culture. Because me telling us say once them put something to culture, we accept it as free culture. So scamming, for example, right? Them say our culture. It's not our culture. How could that be part of our culture when it hasn't been around for 40, 50 years? Huh? So when we talk about certain things and accept certain things, it's part of our culture. No, it's not. I know everybody do that. I know everybody believe in that. There's a minority who's getting highlighted, who's getting sensationalized. So when you skim off all of them, the dirty behavior, then you get back down to the culture. You understand them things there? And that me I say, it's not about rah rah rah. It's about understanding who you are. It's not for you to shout for people to understand. It's for you to speak a language so they can understand. The professor said everybody learns differently. So you have to get to people according to what you need to get to them. The younger people you can never get to are the idiot them, Why? Because the idiot them want to be idiots. You understand that? I talked about the rabbit hole already. So when you talk to an idiot, the only place them are going to pull you in the rabbit hole, because that's where they're comfortable, in the ignorance, in the acceptance of I choose not to learn, not to understand. Take 10 minutes to listen before you just say your point, and not just say your point, shout your point, shouting your point. The town crier, a shout. Them used to have a man come through the community and then tell where them have to tell. And that the habit there. No people like all that them on there. And things them never have picnic. So fit in picnic them come nowadays and want to shout over everybody. I'm not telling you no. This is understanding certain things. Understanding certain things. Not just accepting everything. I tell you about blue, your memory. It's for you to throw everything in your memory and then go in there and pick out what's worth picking out. So one of the things I say about culture, right? It has to be tradition. Tradition is attached to culture. So certain things you can't say that are for culture just because a few people accept it. So Professor Griff, now you see a pure professor, me a pure smart people me I bring on for my channel, people. And uno there so uno smart too. Oh, don't deny on yourself or no have. I keep on saying it. Don't deny on yourself or no have. You no have unlimited ability. And I see the little logo up on the side of my thing with my 12 finger all up the world. We uno that. Put we mind put to anything incredible. And not to take away nothing from nobody. Because we have our own greatness. So Professor I talk about he's talking about culture, right? And me introduce him before, and me tell us me gonna do a live on him, just research who he is, and him have him phone number, probably call him, because me tell us I'm reach out to people, right? And then they reach out back to me, because eventually I want to get the network big enough so I can say, okay, this person is actually coming on my show and they're actually on the show. Right, people? Okay, so this is Professor and Professor Griff, right? And he's talking about culture, and he might talk about books. So I don't need to make sure say I have paper and pen to write down information when I come on my channel, because you see, if we are educated, and not just for Uno alone, it's also for other people, the people that are around Uno, like-minded people. So we have to go build the community. You understand? We build it in a solid. So the few people that are there now, right? Later on, when we get into the complicated stuff like finance and all of them stuff, that Uno there from the beginning, so Uno can say, okay, then fine, we have reference to this or whatever. All right? So here's Professor Griff, and him have him YouTube channel. I said that already. The people them I talk about are the people them All right, the people them will need to be highlighted too, because when you watch the show today, there's not a lot of people on it, like my channel. Okay, Professor, go on talk.
That brings out everyone that actually hate not only black culture, but they're black and sometimes they hate themselves. All right, so this is one of those conversations that bring out all of the Looney Tunes. All right, it's the conversation that invokes fear, anxiety, I don't know, lies, distortion, untruths, whatever, but we're going to dive into it today. All right. Anyway, DC is in the building. All right. All right, so I think we should just kind of dive into it without any further ado. Some mints and papers and something on my hat, but we'll talk about it later. Anyway, let's have the conversation, fam. So let me see. I had pulled up an article. I had a couple of things I wanted to talk about. I had it in front of me, but it's one of the kind of situations you just kind of go, go for it. All right. Don't worry about it. You got it. You got it. You got it. All right. Black culture. What is black culture? So what we're going to do from the outstart and from the beginning, I think we're going to do a very basic thing that we would do if we're studying to do a paper or we're just studying for some basic information. Let's start out at the root. All right, as we invite the people to come on in from the DMV. David, what's good with you? All right, Unicom, Savage, San Francisco, what's good? Virginia Beach. Gerald, what's happening with you, man? First St. Cloud, Florida. I don't even know where that's at, man. Assalamu alaikum. From Columbia, South Carolina. All right. All right. Let's talk. Black culture. We're not going to operate, after we lay the base, we're not going to operate from the branching out. We want to operate from the root. All right. We're going to operate from the root, and then we're going to dive in. All right. Black culture. Black culture refers to the diverse range of customs. Diverse range of customs. All right, traditions, beliefs, art forms, languages, and social behaviors that have emerged from the experience and the contributions of Black people, contributions of people of African descent. Okay, not only African descent, but those that were prior to Africa. If y'all want to go that deep, some might want to. All right, encompassing a shared history, identity, and community across various regions like Africa, the Americas, and the Caribbean islands. Essentially, it's the cultural expression of Black people worldwide, including African American culture as a significant part. All right, that is a basic working definition. Can I say that? A basic working definition. And then whatever your definition is, I think we can kind of go and do that. All right, so I'm going to put that on the screen. All right, if I can. This is what we're talking about, fam. All right, Black culture. Now keep in mind, so if we're going to deal with the working fundamental definition, and what we're going to do is we're going to add on to the cipher. You're going to come in, and before you say anything, we need to get your what is your definition of Black culture, and or what's your definition of culture? We can kind of start there. All right, we can start there. Then I think we can kind of pull this back a little like this so we can get the full picture. All right, I'm going to go to my comments, and then we're going to actually have a conversation about it. At the 30-minute mark, I'm going to bring everyone in to actually have the
Okay, and this here the man say conversation, discussion, never argument. This is what I keep on saying. You see, once we take that path, that we're good. And that's the first step for us to understand each other. Conversation, which means communication, understanding. This is what I say when people say, I'm confused. It's because them don't ask enough questions. And by the way, I love ask questions. I said that already. So as professor continue having conversations, communications, obviously it's gonna be tough topics for some people because some people choose not to to dive deep within themselves. So you're gonna get people who goes against what you're trying to say just because it's on them, not on you. So if you're doing a good job, continue doing a good job. Raise your chicken. Continue do your content. I am encouraging you guys to be the best of Uno. So Uno can do the same for me and others. Professor, speak.
Actually have the conversation. Remember the rules. All right. If you are know-it-all, you will be blocked and banned.
The monster number one. If you want to know it all, because we don't know it all. Yo, I'm telling you, sometimes we enjoy listening to these conversations. Because first of all, when I tell the people them say, yo, look here, there's so much other channel out there. When I go and go find them channel there. And then still compound the channel. They still compound the channel. Why? You know, so they love one. I love them love one, man. They love one enough, so they happy. Leave all of them billions and trillions of challenge out there to come on the channel. Can't tell them what to do and how not to do it. It's either that or they really have some mental issue. What we're not going to touch upon. Go on, Professor.
Banned. All right. You come on disrespectful, you will be blocked, banned, and hunted down. All right. If you are one of those individuals that want to threaten people like you're a keyboard killer, all right, then yeah, we're going to talk to you. Yeah, we'll entertain you for a second, but we'll have to talk to you. All right. So keep it G, keep it good. All right. Not gangster, but just keep it good. All right. And then we'll end up having that conversation respectfully. All right. Can we do that? Black culture refers to the diverse range of customs, traditions, beliefs, art forms, languages, and social behaviors that have emerged from the experiences and contributions of people of African descent, encompassing a shared history. Identity, and community across various regions like Africa and the Americas and the Caribbean. Essentially, it's the cultural expression of Black people worldwide, including African American culture as a significant part of it. And I could say right above the root of it, especially for this conversation. All right. So the first question is, what is Black culture? What is culture? As I turn my ringer off. All right. What is Black culture? All right. So when I did some basic research, I just kind of like looked at it and said, okay, hold on a second. Stop sharing. And let me share again. I said, well, what is Black culture? I just Googled it and I put it in. And as you can see, so many various different things came up. All right. So when I went to define and then redefine what is Black culture, some things came up that I even had to wrestle with myself. Okay. Taking the good with the bad. Now, if you have something very negative to say, we're not going to readily block you, but we just want to have a conversation with you because we're going to use the same litmus test that you would put Black people under, as far as culture is concerned. We're going to put all the other people on the planet under use that same litmus test when it comes to them. All right. Okay. All right. Black culture influence on society. Can we kind of start there? All right. We're going to pull that up. All right. Black culture influence on society. That's one article from the Village Connect. All right. Okay. And our sister Jessica gives us that we're going to read from her work. And then at the same time, simultaneously, and I'm sure y'all can work with me and do this with me, we're going to pull up some stuff and ask some questions at the same time. So it's going to move rapidly. So rock with me, fam. All right. If y'all can do that, I'm sure y'all can. Y'all are a very intelligent audience, and I'm sure that y'all can rock with me. All right, here we go. So for the people on IG, y'all can see my hand. We good. All right. Hold on. Let's not do it that way. Let's do it this way. So for the people on IG, I need y'all to rock with me for a second, because what we're going to do is we're going to dive into some things, some books, and some other stuff. As we do this, I need you to let me help you build your digital library. Any of the information, if you don't have, that I put up or talk about it, hit me up at seriousvibeinfo@gmail.com. I'll get you the resource material, and you can take it from there. I don't want to come on here and talk about it and not help you build yourself. All right. Okay. Respectfully. All right. As I clean my glasses and turn this back around, we're going to dive into this particular subject, and let's make it happen, fam. All right. So, in any event, I had to look up and look at the idea of culture from the perspective of coming up with a basic fundamental definition. So if culture is your way of life, if culture is how you move, how you think, how you dress, the music you listen to, how you connect with your ancestors, how you connect with nature, all right? If this is defining what your culture is, then let's look at aspects of what is your culture, what used to be your culture. And then if it used to be your culture, well, what happened that it's not your culture today? I'm asking some very simplistic, very simple.
All right. You hear the man say, if it was our culture, why is it not our culture? That are the key thing, you know. How comes we start treat ourselves the way we start treat ourselves? Huh? When we had culture, culture means culture. When them talk about culture, that means, you know, if you play the piano, you know, if you go to the arts, and you know, when you actually look at it, when them look upon it, so that means it was like classic. We're classical people, every sense of the way. That's why I'm saying I want to dig deep into them things and really understand something, you know, for us to really understand who we are. We not dig deep enough to get we. You understand that part there? Professor, go and talk.
Simplistic, very simple questions that you do not need to ask me or answer to me. You need to take these questions and ask them to yourself, and then begin the process, all right, using this as a reference point to move forward. Answer the question to yourself and answer it for yourself. Who are you? I think it was Frantz Fanon. And y'all can correct me if I'm incorrect. To ask ourselves the three questions. Who are we? Where are we? Who are we? Where are we in the world? And oh, come on, why are these three questions escaping me? Who are we? What are we? And where are we at in the world? Is that the three questions? And is it Frantz Fanon or is it Dr. John Henry Clark? As a matter of fact, it escapes me. Maybe y'all can help me out with those three questions. Who are we? Who are we? What are we? Where are we at in the world? How did we get here where we are presently today? How did we get here? All right. Let's just ask these questions to the self and let the self begin to define the self. All right. Thank you very much, Super Micah J. Shout out to Quan. Shout out to Johnny Taylor. Shout out to Little Goddess. All right. Who are we? Where are we? Are we all that we ought to be in this world? And if not, why not? All right. So as we dive into the article, we're going to go back to those questions to answer those questions, and I'm going to give you some resource material. Black culture, influence on society. In a society that thrives on diversity, the profound impact of Black culture on society cannot be overlooked. From art and music to language and fashion, the dynamic tapestry of Black culture has woven itself into the very fabric of our global community. We'll explore the remarkable ways in which Black culture has brought about a positive change while fostering unity, creativity, and empowerment. That is a beautiful way to start, Mr. Double B, Randall Bowen. I think that's a beautiful place to start. What's good, Mo? All right, that's a beautiful place to start. And thank you very much, Jessica, for this article. All right, let's start with some basic stuff. Who were the Black inventors that invented nearly 99.9% of the things that not only people in America use, we talk about everyone, but even around the globe? We're talking about deep, complex mathematical equations. We talk about the whole idea of thought. We talk about
okay, and that's the same thing Professor Smalls talked about in the first video, right? All the creation, not all, but 95%, high percentage in the 90% was created, invented, right? I done okay. The video with Maxwell Chimbosu. That's the latest African who created the car with no batteries, no electricity, right? And then try to take him out already. But it's just the invention. And when back in the days when we invent anything, if we were in a position of being owned, whatever we created belonged to our owners. That's why I said when we go into the patterns and all of them things, the details of who owned them pattern, who invented these things and who own them now, to show our history, our creativity, our unlimited ability. Sure, let the professor go on now. Professor.
We talk about the whole idea of connecting with the cosmic forces, the whole idea of ritual, the whole idea of connecting on a telepathic level, the whole idea of getting so deep that it affects not only your DNA, but from a cellular level. All right, we talk about the people that set thought in motion, that arrange and adorn the heavens and the earth. All right. We talk about the people that come from the triple darkness that cannot be defined using English language. All right. KM, thank you very much. We talk about the original man and the original woman. All right. But as Jessica says in her article, we could talk about music, the vibratory frequency of sound that uttered in God, him, and herself. Music that transcends the boundaries. Black culture has gifted us with an extraordinary array of musical genres, each of which has cross-cultural borders and transcend time. From the soulful rhythms of gospel and the blues to infectious beats of hip-hop and R&B, Black artists have shared the experiences, pain, and joy through music. These genres have not only shaped musical landscapes, but also served as platforms for social commentary and advocacy during positive change. And it has. love how Anderson says we are gods. All right. But now, door of L, I'm not understanding what you're giving me when you talk about digital cellular base station and oh, I got you, good bro. All right. Ernest Grant, he just found out the other day that a black woman invented the microwave oven. We're gonna get right back to that.
Hold on, what you say? What you say? Hold on, what you say? What you say?
Ernest Grant, he just found out the other day that a black woman invented the microwave oven. We're gonna get right back to that, Ernst. All right. Jesse Russell was born in Nashville, Tennessee in 1948. He invented the digital cellular base station and the fiber optic. All right. Now back to Ernie's comment on what he just found out. But check this out, Ernie. Get these two books, Ernst. Black people invented every damn thing. Let me not say it. Black people invented everything. All right. Supreme understanding. So when you talk about black people invented everything, it's like, wow, whoa, hold up. I thought we was the people that invented nothing. I thought they told Dr. John Henry Clark and Malcolm X and others that we contributed nothing to society, nothing to the world, nothing to civilization. But yet we come along and we dig up the evidence, and then we present a body of work like this. Black people invented every damn thing.
That's a book. That's actually a book. I'm gonna write it down. He's actually showing a book. It's called Black People Invented Everything.
We would go through the book, but I want you to go through the book for yourself. And black people invented everything. So how I see why now you want to silence DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because if you have to include us, you might start excluding the lies that you've told about us and you told about yourself. Then we can go over a simple book like this that's on the 3rd, 4th grade level. We can talk about black inventors crafting over 200 years of success when they said we've done nothing. Literally said we've done nothing, but yet 200 years of success as far as inventors are concerned. You saw the brothers the other day, Ernie, on what did I see it on? I think it was on Instagram, maybe on Facebook. They invented a robotic arm and square parts.
Okay, and that's true. Like I saw the video, but I'm telling you, there's so much. I'm telling you, it's like my hands them, no, not enough to find all of these inventions and greatness. That's why I'm saying when I start do the invention section with all of the black inventions, them and stuff like that. But these guys are doing it now. That's why I'm saying when they say, "Oh, that's in the past," it's because the people them don't understand. So the past, the present, and the future, it's connected. So the things what we used to do before, we're still doing it. It's just not being highlighted, right? And I saw that guy in create one art like a robot arm, and it's from thoughts, right? As we proceed, people.
Parts that they got out of the dumpster, all right, to help their people in their village that had no arms. So they invented a robotic arm just using the thought waves. This is people with nothing that have done this. Pulling out.
Okay, and that I disagree with, right? When he says people with nothing, you have so much. Our unlimited ability is real. These things prove it. When I'm saying, what the proof there? What the proof there? This is the proof for sure how great we are. So just to say we have nothing, we have so much more. given the opportunity, it will manifest itself. Then people use whatever is at their means and them create greatness. So the greatness is within us to explore and expand. So I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying I disagree with that statement, saying we have nothing when we have so much more.
Scraps that we
Plus he's a professor, so I'm not gonna argue with the professor, right?
wait. I heard Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad say the other day that the same God force, shout out to my man Khalil, the DJ, the same God force that set the universe in motion is the same God force that exists inside of you. You just got to tap into it and set it in motion.
Okay, and him, that's contradiction though, because him just say nothing, we have nothing. But him just come and say the God force within us, right? So him kind of clarify that. See him God force in a way. Unlimited energy.
All right. And these individuals that put together these inventions as inventors have. All right. You need to set that God force in motion and free it up. All right. With this book and this book. See, these are the books that you should have in your library if you have a young niece and nephew at home. If you have young children at home or grandchildren at home.
Okay. You hear me talk about the present, past, and future? This now I'm talk about the future. Now I'm talk about the future. You understand? This is why there's no separation. This is why there's no separation, people. Our greatness continues. Speak, Professor.
You should buy a bookshelf. I don't care if you got to make one and build one. I don't care if you have to get that ugly ass furniture from IKEA and paint it. All right, but get something. Start a bookshelf. Start out with 1 or 2 books. All right, and begin a library for your grandchild. All right, we can do that today. All right, starting with these 2 books. All right, let's get back to the article.
Rumba TV, specially shout out to you. You hear what I say? You better start your library too for your grandchild. All right. So I'm say, it's not just for me, it's for us. Greatness is within us. Speak, Professor.
Comments. I'm not neglecting y'all. Hold on now. The sister talked about fashion as a statement of identity. So we start talking about identity and identity theft. You can talk about everyone that have stolen our ideas, everyone that have stolen our identity because they had none. All right, they did, but I think in certain languages, certain people call them blank or blanco. Come on now, not Professor Griff's language. I'm just saying. All right. Culinary delights, fashion, music.
Culinary delight. Hello, I'm here, Mr. Delicious. Huh? I'm here. Mr. Delicious is here. Make the delicious sauce. No. I have to add that in there.
Movement and activism. All right. In embracing the positive impact of Black culture, we celebrate not only its achievements, but also the ability to inspire unity, resilience, and progress, and even our culture affects other people's culture. All right? My man Vinny says the original Olmecs. Thank you. What are we doing about what, Ben Bay? I don't understand what you're talking about. We're building over here. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, we're building over here. That's what we're doing.
I don't know what you're talking about. We've already done something about it. We gave the world civilization. All right. So then, in understanding Black culture and what it is, let me go back to my original paragraph statement that I laid out. All right. In case you're just joining me, this is Professor Griff. Yeah, we're talking about Black culture and how it affects other cultures. All right. And what is this impact on other cultures? So if you're just joining me, we laid this out in the outstart, at the outstart of this particular talk. Black culture refers to the diverse range of cultures. So all the other cultures that borrow from Black culture, all right, they refuse to give the credit to Black people. But we've affected other cultures, all right? At the core and the root, as Dr. Rashidi, or Runoko Rashidi teaches us, at the core of a lot of these other civilizations lie the Black man and woman, especially in Asia. As Eugene Adams gives us that particular lesson, Africans in Asia. Look it up. Don't gloss over that. Right now, click another page, open up another page and look up.
Okay, and I did, right? I click on the next page, I open it up, and I started. That's gonna be a part 2, right? Because the information on the doctor is trust me, it's vast, right? There's like a 2-hour videos.
Africans in Asia, Eugene Adams. All right. Hold on. Don't go nowhere, fam. Africans in Asia. I'm going to help you look it up. I'm going to look it up with you. All right. Africans in Asia, Eugene Adams. I'm going to put the link in the chat in a minute so I can bring you on. Dr. Eugene Adams, Africans in Asia. All right. Let me stop sharing and then we're going to talk. I'll play something for you and we're going to talk. All right. Hold on for a second. Share. All I did was put in Africans in Asia. All right. Eugene, and he pulled up some stuff. All right, but let's go back here.
See this property on Craigslist for $4,300 a month?
Yeah.
Well, it's been sitting empty for the last 28 days, and there's 40.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Just hope that you're doing fine wherever you are today. There is a couple of
This and tell us what they be telling y'all at home that make y'all not like us so bad.
So you already know a lot of what my content covers, like racial triangulation, the model minority myth, Asian businesses in Black neighborhoods, affirmative action, and so on. As for what I was told in the home behind closed doors when I was growing up, that's not the most fun trip down memory lane, but I always like to be honest about acknowledging anti-Blackness among Asian Americans, especially when the call is coming from my own house. So here we go. I first became aware of my mom's anti-Blackness when I started kindergarten, and it mostly centered around avoiding interactions with Black people and not allowing me to be exposed to anything that she considered Black culture. So if we were walking and she saw a Black person, she would pull me closer to her. If we were in the car in a parking lot and saw a Black person in the parking lot, she would make a point to lock doors. and I wasn't allowed to listen to rap or Michael Jackson or Tina Turner. And she was hypocritical about that because I wasn't allowed to listen to Cyndi Lauper or Madonna either. She would call it trash music and say that it was going to be a bad influence. But if it was a white artist, it was not racialized. It was only when it was Black artists that it was racialized. And another thing that I think is kind of typical is, as a musician, there were a lot of Black artists whom she respected and enjoyed, but she would always say that one Black artist is the exception, the rest are bad influences. When I went to school, if I came home and said I made a friend, her first question would be white or Black. And that drove me nuts because in preschool, I dealt with a lot of bullying and discrimination because of being Asian. So it didn't make sense to me that she wanted.
Okay, so this lady who's talking, she has her own YouTube channel too, and she goes into a lot of in-depth information on race relations. This is how I see how she speaks. Right? She speaks a lot of facts, and a lot of people don't like her because of the facts that she speaks. I also subscribe to her channel also.
To turn around and do that very same thing to my Black classmates whom she knew nothing about on the basis of their skin color. And when I wouldn't stay away from my Black friends, she would resort to making up justifications as to why it was harmful for me. She would say they're going to hurt me and they're going to be a bad influence because they fight and they swear and they're not good students. And of course, none of that was true. And in my household, it was not physically or emotionally safe to voice your opinions, but about that I would, because it literally angered me. And then she would resort to physical violence. And that sealed the deal in my mind that prejudice is purely irrational because none of her claims had any basis in reality, and that's why she had to resort to physical force. Unfortunately, I think that when parents resort to intimidation and violence to instill prejudice in their children, a lot of times it works. But I was very lucky because the principal of my elementary school was a Black woman who implemented a program called Students Educating Each Other About Discrimination. And that wasn't centered on racial discrimination, it was about discrimination in general. But in that program, we learned to have discussions about discrimination and to identify it and disrupt it. Which at that age just means if you witness discrimination, say it's discrimination and articulate how you know that it's discrimination. So from learning that very powerful tool at school, I was able to identify that what my mom was doing at home was wrong. Additionally, the principal was a Black woman, so I had a Black woman in a position of leadership as a role model. And in my school district, she wasn't a token. They really valued Black leadership from teachers.
Again, a role model is a teacher, right? And the very fact that some people actually teach racism in their home, that's a scary thing, because how you feel, you shouldn't enforce it on the next person, especially if it's wrong. As we proceed,
leadership from teachers to administration, guidance counselors, all the way up to superintendents. And so I was surrounded by Black role models who made me see that reality did not line up with what my mom was trying to teach me. The straw that broke the camel's back was sometime around the ages of between 7 and 9. I was planning a birthday party and I told my mom that I want to invite my friend Keisha, which I knew was going to be an issue, but I thought I would try. And she said no. And I said, fine, then I don't want to have a birthday party. And she made me have the birthday party. So now that felt like that's not only cruel to me, but that's cruel to my friend Keisha, whom you don't even know because you refused to meet her. Shortly after that, we were walking in the mall and my mom did this thing that she often did, which is she sees Black people minding their own business and under her breath, she mumbles a derogatory term in Chinese for Black people. And I remember I pulled back on her hand and faced her and I said, they are not doing anything. You don't know them. The next time you do that, I am going to go up to them and I'm going to tell them what you said. And believe it or not, the fear of exposure by me actually made her tone it down. And she
the fear of exposure make her tone it down. So sometimes people say things in them language, Trust me, it's not good.
that in public. Fortunately, my mom did not live and die that way. In later years, she came around to seeing and later openly admitting how wrong she was. In her older age, one of her best friends really was Black, and my mom admitted to her friend what her previous attitudes had been and why. And from those conversations, I was able to gain some insight as to what my mom's motivation was for her anti-Blackness. Because I think most people feel, since Asian Americans also are harmed by white supremacy, how does it make any sense for Asian Americans to be anti-Black? My mom spent most of her young life in Hong Kong when it was under British occupation, and then in the 1950s, she came to the United States when she was 16 years old. Generations before my mom, her family had been living in and doing business around Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Macau, which were French, British, and Portuguese occupied areas. So she was heavily indoctrinated into anti-Blackness in Hong Kong, where she had no exposure to Black people that would have shown her a different reality. And furthermore, what she was indoctrinated into is the idea that an Asian can elevate their status in white spaces by aligning with white supremacy, which includes aligning with anti-Blackness. So I think what my mom was doing with me is that from a young age, she saw that I was having a hard time as an Asian American assimilating. So she felt that if I associated with Black classmates, that would make assimilating into white spaces even harder. And she was concerned that associating with Black classmates would negatively impact my status in white spaces. Well, we all know with me that the outcome was I understand very clearly what spaces I want to be part of and what spaces I don't. So my mom was really proud that she was Westernized. She was proud that she spoke English without an accent, that she was very well versed in European culture, and she actually looked down upon my dad for being what she called traditional and therefore backwards. Right, so where was my dad in all of this? My dad grew up in Taiwan, where he had no exposure to Black people, but he also had very little exposure to Western media. I think when he came to the United States, he was a bit uncertain around Black people because of the lack of familiarity and the slight media bias, but it only took a very little being around Black people to see that prejudice is irrational and that it serves a white supremacist agenda that he doesn't want to uphold. As I said before, in my household, it wasn't physically or emotionally safe to voice opinions that differed from my mom, so I do understand why my dad didn't speak up when my mom was being anti-Black. He had a hard enough time keeping my brother and I safe. However, what he would do is when it was just my dad and I, he would make sure to teach me or give me resources about accurate Black history. So for example, a lot of my mom's rhetoric surrounded musicians. So my dad would teach me about Berry Gordy, Chuck Berry, Marian Anderson, Jesse Norman. If the claim was that Black people don't value education, he would tell me about Black scholars, academics, and scientists, and so on. So that, in a nutshell, is what I was told at home behind closed doors when I was growing up. I find that a good way to help people who have a different lived experience than you exercise empathy for the struggles that you face that they may not be familiar with is to help them understand. And I was hoping that you could help me understand what anti-white racism looks like. Can you tell me about how you don't know where your ancestors came from because they were kidnapped and enslaved? Or how you don't know what languages they spoke, what spiritual practices they had, or what traditional knowledge that should have been your birthright was lost? Not because they were allowed to and wanted to assimilate, but because their enslavers or residential schools forced them to assimilate. Can you tell me about how your ancestors had explosives tied to them while they were building the United States railroads, and then as a show of appreciation, they were excluded from society for nearly 60 years? And could you tell me about the hundreds of towns that were destroyed, like the Black towns and Chinatowns and Japan towns, all destroyed by the same demographic? Can you tell me about the children who were unalived because they whistled at a woman or because they floated in a lake a little too far past the segregation line? And can you tell me how it was for your parents and your grandparents to be United States citizens who were put in internment camps on United States soil? Can you tell me how it was for your family to live in the back of their store because people who look like you were not allowed to purchase or rent homes? And could you tell me how it was for your parents and for you to shed blood, to be treated as human, as equal, and to be allowed to simply share the same space as other people? Can you tell me about the conversations that you have to have with your children about police interactions? And could you tell me about how your mother and your sisters and your daughters are concerned about having children because of lack of equitable access to healthcare, because doctors were told that people who look like you can't feel pain? Can you tell me how it feels to know that your ancestors lived here for thousands of years, but when you try to come here, you and your children are put in cages? And can you tell me how it felt when a few years ago, the president entertained having people who look like you expelled from the country again? Can you tell me what anti-white racism looks like beyond having your feelings hurt, feeling uncomfortable, and having your sense of superiority challenged? And when you're done telling me what anti-white racism feels like for you, could you please tell me why you're not fighting to end racism for everybody? It took me a
All right. Okay. That should have kind of, hold on. Wait. Okay. That was very interesting and very interesting. And that was very interesting and very telling. Coming from an Asian American, but all the things that she laid out, you had about 10 to 12 questions right there that not only they, but we need to answer for ourselves. Yeah, she kind of set it up and set it in motion. All right. So before I played her, I was going to play Eugene Adams, Africans and Asia. Just so we can get an idea. I know this is probably part 1 of a 9-part series on this whole idea.
And that match I show you how it going up, because there's so much aspect of our existence that we don't pay attention to, and it can't be covered on TikTok. It has to be covered in real life of us understanding why it's so important, because everybody else is doing for themselves. And nobody's gonna do for you unless you do for yourself. As we proceed, Professor.
This whole idea of what is Black culture. I've heard a lot, and the impetus for this, the reason why I wanted to do this, simply because I hear a lot of people talk about we don't have a culture. Black people in America don't have a culture. Wow.
And that's what I'm saying, the same thing. We have heroes. We have so much heroes. This is what this month is supposed to be all about. We have heroes. So maybe the whole series will be called that. We have heroes that we're supposed to be proud of, emulate, highlight, detail. Yeah? As we proceed.
We don't have a culture. When everyone has taken and built their culture from our culture, you as a Black person would dare to turn around and fix your lips to say that we don't have a culture and not give a decent, thorough, basic, thorough context to that statement. If we did have a culture, what happened to it? Because of racism, white supremacy, our culture was destroyed. Because of the falsification, pardon me, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, the ISIS papers. All right. Okay. Because of the falsification of African consciousness. So if we haven't read these books and have taken these now ancestors and hold them in high regard to study their work, you'll never know what happened to Black people. All right. So let's understand that. All right. The falsification of African consciousness. Dr. Amos Wilson.
That's our next book.
These two might blow your neck.
Okay.
All right. The falsification of African consciousness. Dr. Amos Wilson. These two might blow your mind, but nonetheless, you need to get them. All right. White architects of Black education. if they've stolen you, stolen your identity, stolen your history, rewrote it, all right, and then wrote you in as something that didn't contribute anything, but they steal everything from you. So when you go to get it back, they are the ones that give you your diplomas and degrees to validate the very same thing that you could study on your own and get the real truth about what happened to you. The white architects of Black education, ideology, and power in America, 1865 to 1954. William H. Watkins. White architects of Black education. Racism in the academic marketplace. So I run into a whole lot of Negroes that become apologists for white people. All right? They become apologists for white people. With degrees given to them by white people, and refuse to study anything that has anything to do with who we are, truly are, as a people, if it hasn't been validated by white people. All right? Racism in the academic marketplace. David C. Johnson. So we're building our library now for the children and the grandchildren. This is some of the work that needs to be on the shelf. All right? Now let's dive into real quick. We're going to dive into Eugene Adams' work, and I put the link inside of the chat here for you to come on. We're only going to have a few minutes, but nonetheless, I need to open it up to you. Let's talk. Let's listen to Eugene Adams for a few minutes, and we'll go from there. Remember, this is Africans in Asia. Meet Dr. Eugene Adams. All right? Let's talk.
Science, music, literature, drama, the whole culture, particularly the religion of all the people of Asia, can be traced directly to the Africans of Asia. India, Japan, China, just to name a few. Even Afro-American history can be traced directly to the Africans of Asia. I know it sounds strange to you, but the world owes a debt to the Africans of Asia. In the following presentation, you'll find out exactly why. Just give me a few seconds. Your ancestors never intended to let you down. In this book, called The Gods of Northern Buddhism, we find a name, the Asian name of the supreme deity of the universe. His name is Sambo. They say when nothing else was, Sambo was the name of the God of the universe to the people.
Now, did you hear that? The name of the God of the universe was Sambo. Sambo. By the time it got back to America and was filtered through racism, white supremacy, we ended up being black Sambos. It turned into something negative. But the Sambo, and ironically, Little John, I think his hype men, one was Sam and one was Bo. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Who Little John's backup
Yeah.
and hype men were. Sam and Bo. The Sambo, which is the black god. So the Sambo is the black god. Woo. Thank you, Eugene Adams.
Of Asia. And there are many places that carry this name. This is a depiction of Sambo. This is not an African statue. This is from Asia. And many places in Asia
you're wrong about that.
Sambo
That is
Judea,
the African
the
statue
land
because the Africans were in Asia.
of Sambo. Various spellings of the word in the name Sambo can be found throughout Asia. Niggas, the divine people of Buddhism. This is a 2nd century depiction of Gautama the Buddha being given his first bath by the divine people of Buddhism called Niggas, a tribe in Asia called Niggas, the divine people of all the people of Asia, symbolized throughout Asia by the serpent or the dragon. That is their symbol. The Naga.
Serpent or the dragon, the Nagas. Ooh, the cobra. All right.
Okay, so it's spelled Nigas, and that's a tribe in Hold on a minute.
And that is their symbol. The nigger
Serpent or the
means serpent
dragon?
of all the people of Asia, symbolized throughout Asia by the serpent or the dragon. That is their symbol. The nigger
Serpent or the
means
dragon?
serpent
The
or dragon.
Nagas. Ooh, the cobra. All right. India's good snake. The Nagas. And they simply turned that into they called us niggers. So the niggers of the Nagas and we're the black gods? Yeah, I'm not, yeah. We're gonna stop right there just for that. Yeah, hold on. We're getting a little bit too deep. I'm not sure people can handle that. I'm sure you can, but so the Nagas are the niggers, and the niggers are the Nagas, and the Nagas are the Sambos, which is the black gods. Wow. Said the devil flipped the script? Of course. Of course. Anyway, we only got a few minutes left. I opened up the chat. No one is chatting. So I'm going to get back to the film so we can finish listening to Eugene Adams.
All right, so people, I tell us for the last, what is that say, 95 minutes of pure information, pure in-depth information on our culture, how in-depth, how in deep we are, what we don't pay attention to, right? I say everything, the problem what we have now is solve every problem between us. And I just understanding. And I'm saying it's not like everybody. It's just a like-minded people them who want to change things. Who want to see better for we. And not just we, the next generation, by not ignoring the past. So I did look up the prophet. I tell you some everything when I go through is like I'm researching and finding all of this information. So I said the month, this is part, I'm going to put this as part 1, right? And the video and the professor, what he's talking about, we don't want to get into. It's a 2-hour, video on YouTube. So watch it and probably like detail the video. But again, there's so much greatness within us, our history, everything about us. We're not supposed to be shy about our existence. We're supposed to help each other reach our full potential. Because then it's just we being harnessed. I mean, understand all of them things. Yes, I understand all those things, trust me. But again, it's always betterment, right? It's always betterment, people. Come on, thank all of the people them stop by. Thank you guys.